It's it's called a soldier's journey, and it's in Pershing Park, which is right next to.
It's a statue.
It's a monument. It is a bronze that's like about 56.
I mean, I guess we don't have to
60
have them, but
feet
it kind of lets us know,
Mhm.
like, when we're
Where is
live.
that located physically in the city?
Do you think? It's right across from the White House Visitor Center.
But if
There's
Oh.
you're good, we can,
Liberty, I think it's called, no, it's Freedom Plaza. Then immediately across from there is Pershing Park, and that's where the bronze is.
are we
And then you have
live
the
now?
White House Visitor Center.
Okay, so we are live if y'all wanna,
Good morning, all. I'd like to call our meeting to order today. This is the regular meeting of the Dare County Board of Elections. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. I'd like everyone to ask me, first of all, to join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first of all, I'd like to apologize for anyone who was looking for our live stream and our meeting to start at 10. We had some technical issues, and we've overcome those now. So here we are, and we hope that you can stick with us through our meeting today. The first order of business today is the approval of our minutes of August 20th, 2024. I trust everyone's had a chance to look at the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? I have one myself that's a small question, and Kelly, you may be able to answer this. When the minutes pointed to the early voting locations, the minutes mentioned the Fessenden Center in Buxton as the location. Would that not be Fessenden Center Annex rather than the rec center, the bigger portion?
yes, it needs to be the President Center Annex.
Okay, all right, that's the only correction that I had, and I'm sorry I didn't catch that sooner,
That's right.
so we could correct it, but we'll correct that in the
So if you
final.
want to approve it with that correction, I can type that in. Right
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's pragmatic, and nobody would have any problem with that. Are there any other corrections or additions? No? Okay, then we'll go ahead and vote to approve the minutes.
You need a motion. I move
Thank
we
you.
approve the minutes as corrected.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, the minutes are approved. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the resolution to adopt the duties of the Director of the Dare County Board of Elections. The board has already looked at this, and so basically, this is a copy editing exercise. And I know Rick had spotted one small thing that is being corrected. That's at the very end of the resolution. And I know Kelly already knows about it. It's a typo, I think.
That's been corrected. We just needed to add the date, and that has been added to the copy that will be signed today.
Okay. And again, this is a kind of a mechanical thing. I think it's an issue of any kind.
The
Okay.
date that's being added is today's date for
Okay.
the adoption.
Okay. So, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution before us. Is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, the resolution is passed. And just for anyone's edification, this is something that we do every year about this time. If we have an election in the fall, it's based on North Carolina general statutes. And actually, we name our director in this resolution, which might seem unusual to some, but it goes year by year. Every year we do this. So it's a matter of, it's pro forma, as they say. The next item on our agenda is the director's report. So I'll turn this over to our director, Kelly McPherson. Kelly?
Okay, good morning. I'll start with probably the biggest issue that we've had in regards to the ballots and the reprinting. So Dare County was prepared to send absentee ballots out on September 6th, which was the deadline for the ballots to be sent out under state law. However, ruling by the NC Court of Appeals and the NC Supreme Court required election officials to remove We the People party line from the presidential contest on the ballot, including the party's presidential nominee, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and the vice presidential nominee, Nicole Shanahan. Because of this, we had to hold off sending out absentee ballots until new ballots were coded, proofed, and ordered. The estimated cost for the reprint for Dare County is somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. A new schedule was released by the state board on Friday the 13th as follows. All 100 county boards of elections must send absentee ballots to eligible military and overseas citizens who requested them for the 2024 general election on Friday, September 20th, under a new schedule released by the state board. The state board also set September 24th as the date to start sending out absentee ballots to other voters who've requested ballots by mail, including those who've used the visually impaired portal to request and return their ballots. This schedule will ensure that North Carolina meets the federal law required to distribute ballots to voters under the Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act by the 45th day before the election, which is September 21st. I want to also make everyone aware that Dare County will have 2 ballot styles for the November 5th election. This is due to Dare County having a split in districts for the NC House of Representatives. District 1 will be on ballot style 2. District 79 will be on ballot style 1. Voters may review their correct sample ballot based on their residency on our website, darenc.gov, under the Department Elections and the heading Election Information. We have listed both ballots there with each precinct under each ballot, so there's no confusion. When voters go to our website, they can see exactly what their sample ballot is based on their precinct. Monday, Dare County was scheduled to have a wellness check with the State Board of Elections. This is an audit where we have one or more field support specialists come, and they send us a packet, and they basically review all of the processes that we do in our office. They check for procedures. They check to make sure we have the right forms, that we have that we're following security processes and procedures. They have since canceled that meeting, so we did not have it on Monday, and the new date is to be determined by the state. The 2024 general election notice and the resolution of the Dare County Board of Elections schedule of absentee meetings for the 24 general were sent to the Coastland Times to be published in the paper beginning 9/15, and the ads will run through October 27th, both of those notices. On September 9th, 2024, a notice of appointment of early voting officials letter was mailed and emailed to both party chairs, notifying them that the Dare County Board of Elections is scheduled to meet on October 1st at 3 p.m. for the purpose of adopting early voting officials for the November 5th general election, and that is in accordance with Session Law 2023-140. The deadline for these recommendations to be received by the BOE office is 5 p.m. on September 24th. Drew Pearson, who is the Dare County Director of Emergency Management, contacted me Friday the 13th to discuss having a meeting at the EOC with local representatives from critical departments in Dare County that would aid our office, the Dare County Board of Elections, in the event of an emergency or some type of attack. He's also trying to include any other persons who may have an invested role in helping the BOE reorganize, prepare, and reduce the possibility of potential threats to our election systems and facilities. I was really excited to get this call. He stated that he has been in contact with North Carolina State Emergency Management. He's trying to gain more insight into the potential threats or issues that we should be prepared for that could specifically impact Dare County. He's still gathering that information, and he said that he would reach out to me when he was ready to schedule a meeting.
The date on that again, please?
For what?
That meeting?
He's going to reach back out to me when he's ready to schedule.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you'll let
He's
us
still
know.
gathering information.
I see, okay.
Voters will be asked to show photo ID when voting in North Carolina. This is not new. This is a continuation of a law that was passed several elections ago. Any of the following that is unexpired or expired for 1 year or less will be acceptable for voters to present. North Carolina driver's license, a state ID from the North Carolina DMV, also considered or called a non-operator's ID. Driver's license or non-driver ID from another state, District of Columbia, or U.S. territory, but only if the voters registered in North Carolina within 90 days of the election. U.S. passport or passport card, North Carolina voter photo ID card issued by the Dare County Board of Elections. And just to let everyone know that you can get this card at any time that our office is open, except during the time period between the end of early voting through the end of election day. And that's pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 163-166.40B. The end of early voting is 3 p.m. on the last Saturday before an election. You can also use a free ID card that you can get from the North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicles, college or university student IDs that have been approved by the State Board of Elections if the school's been approved, and state or local government or charter school employee IDs if they have also been approved by the State Board of Elections. And just to note, a voter that is 65 years or older may use an expired form of an acceptable ID if the ID was unexpired on their 65th birthday. Any of the following, regardless of whether the ID contains an expiration or issuance date, is also acceptable. Military or veterans ID card with a photo issued by the U.S. government, tribal enrollment card with a photo issued by a tribal recognized by the state of North Carolina or the federal government. All voters will be allowed to vote with or without a photo ID. If a voter cannot show photo ID when voting in person or by mail, they can still vote by filling out an ID exception form. Some important upcoming dates and times. The voter registration deadline is October 11th at 5 p.m. The deadline to request an absentee ballot is October 29th at 5 p.m. for civilian ballots. However, I do urge voters who wish to vote by mail to request their ballots soon. The deadline to complete and return an absentee ballot is not later than 7:30 p.m. on Election Day, November 5th, 2024. Voter registration and absentee voting deadlines are different for military and overseas voters. For them, the deadline to register to vote and request an absentee ballot is 5 p.m. Eastern Time the day before Election Day. The deadline to return via online or email or fax is 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Election Day. The deadline to return a ballot via mail is 12:01 a.m. on Election Day, your local time, and it must be in the mail by this deadline and reach our county by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the last business day before the county canvass, which is November 15th.
I'd like to add something right there on that note. Just to remind all voters to take this in your hands and allow for the time it might take for the mail to move your ballot through to our office. That's the voter's responsibility, and we hope that everyone pays attention to whatever the movement of the mail is in your community and what you've experienced. That'll be a critical part of this, because before, as I remember the law, if the ballot was in the hands of the post office and it was stamped by the post office, it was basically considered to be in government hands, and that there was a grace period after Election Day. So we don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to reiterate what Kelly just said. So anyway. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Early voting dates and times and locations. So the early voting dates are Thursday, October 17th, and Friday, October 18th, and then Monday through Friday, October 21st through November 1st, and then Saturday, November 2nd, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Early voting hours are 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. on the weekdays. And then, of course, the only Saturday, November 2nd, is 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We will have 3 sites open: Kill Devil Hills Town Hall, Manio Administrative Building, and the Buxton Visitor Center Annex. You wanted me to give the upcoming absentee meetings. So they will begin October 1st at 3 p.m. We will have one October 8th at 3 p.m., October 15th, 22nd, and 29th, 3 p.m. November 4th, the day before the election, is what we is an absentee meeting. We call it a pre-election meeting. That will also be held at 3 p.m. It will be held in room 186 instead of the others being held here in the Board of Commissioners room. November 5th is Election Day. We will have an Election Day meeting in room 186 at 5 p.m. to count the absentee ballots. And if we will run right into the 7:30 p.m. time to close the polls for the early voting sites. And you guys can, if you have time, you can recess that meeting and reconvene at 7:30 if you finish the absentee portion. But you will be here at 5 o'clock starting. That meeting will begin at 5 o'clock. For the board, the November election canvass meeting, and that's the meeting to certify the election, and it's statutorily set for Friday, November 15th. So please save this date. NC General Statute 163-89E requires that all board members must be present for the canvass meeting. There's also a numbered memo, 2023-04, that I encourage all of you to brush up on prior to canvass. And then finally, as recommended by Paul Cox, who is General Counsel for the North Carolina State Board of Elections, please reserve the week after canvass on your calendars for any preliminary protest hearings or for conducting a recount. And that's all I have.
I have one comment, and it could be something that I didn't hear you say, but when you were talking about acceptable photo IDs, I think U.S. passports are also accepted.
That was on my list.
Yeah, okay. I figured it was a Skip problem, not a Kelly. Does anyone have any questions? Anything that you wanted to ask Kelly in terms of what she just presented?
Just two observations. One is that was a lot of good material, good information. And I would encourage voters to frequently visit darenc.gov
Yes,
for to keep abreast of any updated information
correct.
regarding elections here in Dare County.
Yes.
The other observation was with respect to photo ID. And if a voter is unable to produce a photo ID and would prefer not to fill out an exception form, they can opt for a provisional ballot and bring that a photo ID to the Board of Elections at a later date, correct?
That is correct. So to clarify, a photo ID exception form also requires a provisional ballot. So the two options for voting provisional, if you do not have an ID, are you vote a provisional with an exception form, or you vote a provisional without an exception form, but you choose to bring your ID back within the 10 days or so prior to canvass.
And if a voter goes to a polling place and realizes that they do not have a photo ID prior to check-in or receiving their
Ballot. Right. So they can certainly leave and come back
Mhm.
as long as they have not taken possession of the ballot.
Okay, thank you for that
Mhm.
clarification.
That brought some clarity. Good one. Do you have anything, Rick?
Kelly, you had mentioned earlier in this, when you were presenting information about when we were talking about photo IDs and all, you said something to the effect of those acceptable college and university type IDs. But how do you know who is, what university is on that list, for example? Do you all know what that would
We
be?
have an updated list in our office, and then every check-in station will also have that list.
Okay.
So any voter who wants to know can contact us if they are interested in finding out if their ID is on that list.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, just following up on that, I believe in the first round of photo ID, state actually had a list on their website of approved IDs because they have a process for doing that. Are they going to be doing that in addition to your office having that information?
Yes, I think they keep their list updated and accessible on their website as well.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I have a few things that I wanted to let you all know about and just make some comments. Number one, as I've said before, this is the time for us to close ranks and be ready to help staff as much as we can with the things that don't require specific training. And Kelly and I have talked about this. So, you know, don't be surprised if the phone rings and someone says, can you come and help with whatever it might be? And I know you guys are ready to do that, so I applaud that. The first thing that's going to come up that I'm aware of is the logic and accuracy test, which some of us have done together before, and I think is a really good thing to do. So I don't know who intends to volunteer for that. I'm going to stand back and I'll be the fill-in if somebody, you know, if we don't have two people, but two is what we're looking for. So please let Kelly know, you know, if you can be here for that, okay? So, and then I'm sure there'll be other things that come up in that regard. There are a couple things that are perking right now that I'm not at liberty to talk about because I'm working it out with people. The next thing I wanted to just make a couple of announcements about election events in the community. This Thursday, the 19th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. At the Virginia Tillett Center, the building that is behind us back here, there will be a North Carolina Trusted Elections Town Hall that will also be live streamed. And this is part of a 14-stop tour across our state from Murphy to Manteo. I believe this is the last stop. I'm not positive about that. But the two principals involved with this are Jennifer Roberts, the former mayor of Charlotte, representing the Democratic Party, and former Chief Justice Bob Orr, who is the former Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court, representing the Republican Party. And they're doing what looks to me like, after I've done my research on this, is some fantastic work and timely work to offer a panel that will sit before audience and also live stream and answer questions, both from the moderator and also from the audience that's present in the room. So if anyone's listening, you're invited to come to this. Of course, there's no charge, but we'd love to have people from our community in there. My colleague, John Carter, will be on the panel with me, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to be able to do whatever we can to build trust and hold confidence in our elections. This is really important. This is an important time for us to stand up. And so I'm really happy to be next to John on this. We'll be answering all kinds of questions. So I invite everybody to take a look at that or show up and ask us questions so that you can understand what the board does and what the director and her staff do and how we work together for the Dare County voters. This is a really good opportunity to understand that and see it.
What's the date and time on that?
It's the 19th, this coming Thursday, the day after tomorrow, and it's 6:30 to 8. The other event that I've been invited to speak to, and we'll have I would imagine we'll have a Q&A with that. And John doesn't know it, but I was going to invite him to come with me on that one too, if he can do it. But this will be at Dowdy Park, and it's being sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dare County. And this will be an opportunity for me to explain to our fellow citizens what we do. Same thing I just said. We'll be talking about the relationship between our board and our staff and how we do what we do and how it's been done in Dare County for years to produce safe and fair and accurate elections and secure elections. So there'll be a chance to discuss, you know, those types of things. And I have to say, as a teaser, never having worked in elections before myself, when I was taken backstage by staff to be able to see what they do and how they do it, I came away feeling completely confident about our elections here in Dare County, regardless of what happens elsewhere, or what we think happens elsewhere. Our staff does a fantastic job of delivering a good election the way it's supposed to be. So you get a chance to ask some questions and we can inform you on that. That will be on September 28th, which is a Saturday. And it will be, I don't know the exact name of it, but it's an elections fair, and there will be tables around the area where you can engage and interact with people involved with election activities. Some of it might be registration, and there'll be other opportunities to ask folks involved about our elections, and at every level, most likely.
It's called Make Your Vote Count.
Make your vote count. Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. This stuff is coming, these opportunities are coming pretty quickly toward us. So anyway, so I'll be at that. That'll be from 12 to 3 on Saturday, September 28th. And if you can be out there, and if we have good weather, then it'll be another opportunity to learn about your local elections. I want to share with the board that we're mostly on the side of expecting heavy voting, which is a really good thing. But that knife cuts both ways. So that means that if we have a high volume of absentee ballots to review, that we may have to institute a few things to help streamline our meeting so that we're not here forever and ever reviewing ballots, because it is pretty tedious. There are some ways to do that. We've been instructed by the state and reminded what we can do, what the statutes will allow us to do. And some of those are, for example, divide up into bipartisan teams and review ballots, a batch of ballots over here and over here, rather than pass single ballots through the eyes of every board member. So that's one way to speed it up. And then there's some things that can happen in terms of feeding into the tabulator while we do that activity. So we can push those things together and overlap them, which would be more efficient. We won't make any decisions on this until we start seeing what we get back on the absentee ballots and how heavy it is. And then we can make that decision, because we'll be having weekly meetings. So we'll have our finger on the pulse, and we won't get ourselves in a bind that way. But I just wanted to let everybody be thinking about that, because hopefully a lot of people will vote. So that's really all I have right now. And I do want to go back through a couple of dates. This is mostly for board members. I've already talked about the North Carolina Network on Elections, the town hall this Thursday, the logic and accuracy test, which will be September 27th. The first absentee ballots go out on the 26th, 24th. Okay, I have the old.
Military and overseas will go out on the 20th. Civilian ballots will go out on the 24th.
Okay, thank you. And the first absentee ballot review will be at 3 p.m. on October 1st. And so that's where we're locked in. And just so if anybody's watching, they don't know what this is, by statute, every week, every Tuesday, we will be here at 3 p.m. reviewing the absentee ballots that come in. Even if it's one ballot, we will have the meeting and we'll look at that one ballot. So, and Kelly's already talked about early voting and the dates for that. I think that covers everything that I have. And the last thing I wanted to do is I wanted to introduce our newest colleague, Rick Cottrell. Rick has something that he wants to say to everyone.
So last month when I was sworn in, we didn't have a full complement here, but now that everyone's here, I just wanted to say that I counted an honor and a privilege to serve on this board. And I look forward to working with everyone. And of course, that includes Kelly and her staff as well. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Rick. We're happy to have you join us in this endeavor. And I expect we'll all do a good job, and we've had nothing but that so far from our board. I'm talking about our board now. We have a lot to measure up to with that staff. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's all I have. Kelly, do you have anything else? Okay. And you guys, anybody have anything? Okay, our next meeting will be October 1st, unless something comes up that's unexpected. And this time of year, with this general election, let's see, keep your eyes on the things that are going on. I don't have any other business. I'm going to call this meeting adjourned. And thank you very much. Thank you for coming. All right.
You guys sign this